Good evening, everyone. I'm about to start this meeting. Good evening, everyone. We're about to start this meeting of the Sumner County Board of Education for December the 5th. Before we do, I'm going to stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. If you would like to join me, please feel free to do so. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I call the meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is roll call. Mr. Johnson, do you have the roll?
I do, sir.
Ms. Hayes is on her way, I understand, so she should be here shortly. First item on the agenda is adoption of the regular agenda. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Ms. Andrews, second by Mr. Daniels. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Next item is adoption of consent agenda. Is there a motion? Motion approved by everywhere. Mr. Gregory, and I'll take Mr. Lacey as second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Next item, consideration of minutes, discussion, interaction regarding the minutes of the November 14th regular meeting. Is there a motion? Motion approved by Mr. Lancaster. Second by Ms. Hawkins. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is recognition and hearing of delegations. First item on the agenda is recognition of, I'm not going to attempt this name, I'm going to call whoever's going to call them up.
That's Ms. Hayes. We flip.
Ms. Hayes, so we'll give her a minute or two to get here.
We flip to 3 and 4.
Okay, all right. We'll skip into number 3 under recognition. Recognition of Liberty Creek girls soccer team. Mr. Lancaster.
All right, Liberty Creek soccer team, if y'all will come up here, stand up. So Liberty Creek is your Class A Tennessee State ladies or girls soccer team champions. They're coached by Coach Andrew Fish. He didn't tell me his assistant coach's name. I'm just telling you, I know. But I asked for some highlights, and the first thing he said was they opened their season with a win over 3A Beach, and that was one of the games I was actually at. So that's great for y'all.
Appreciate the support.
Mr. King, his daughter is on the 3A Beach team too. So they also beat AAA opponents Walker Valley, Green Hill, Springfield, and Northeast. They had 12 girls that scored multiple goals. They scored 98 team goals and only allowed 16 goals in 22 games. Very stingy. And they won their final 9 games in a row. So we want to congratulate them on being the Class A state champion. And
Two rows here. Short ones in the front, Dr. Looper, I think that's. Yeah, I think he's in the back. Come on, Dr. Holt, you're in here too. Dr. Holt.
we don't.
That's right. Everybody smile. Perfect. Even better. That's right. Congratulations. Congratulations. Good job.
All right, item number 4, we're going to recognize the Station Camp High School girls soccer team. If y'all will come up. Did we measure how far? I mean, how far of a distance do we have between two? Maybe 3 miles. We got 2 state champions in 3 miles. All right, so Station Camp was the Class 2A district champs, region champs, and of course state champs. My favorite thing that their coach sent me was they started 0-4-2.
Wow.
And then they went and won 18 games in a row. So I can imagine a lot of teams, if you start 0-4-2, you might think, well, you know, there's no way we're winning the state championship. But to do that's awesome. That really shows a commitment and a determination and a way to set goals. Aiden Wood was the Sumner County offensive MVP. She scored 45 goals and had 22 assists. Ellie Lassiter was the midfielder of the year for Sumner County with 31 goals and 13 assists. They scored 107 goals and only allowed 21 for the season. The only question I still have, besides how did you only do it with 5 players, but I know you got some people out, but how is it that y'all are 3 miles apart and y'all didn't play each other?
We are next year.
Okay. So we can settle the debate. All right. Congratulations to all of y'all.
That won't balance the picture. Seriously, congratulations. Seriously, thank you for coming.
You're so wearing the orange.
No, Mom.
Oh, don't worry, Dad.
We had new additions. Yeah, this just came in.
More than
Early
4.
today. This is par for the course.
I got stuck on a train. It's not my fault.
Thank you. Hang on.
Oh, there's more.
Jeremy's an official player.
Linda. Congratulations.
Good evening. Everybody was on Gallatin Road tonight. I apologize for being late. It was crazy. Okay, tonight I get to first start off with Ava. I didn't get here early enough to have a chance to meet you. Ava Way. Hi, Ava. This young lady is a Merrill Hyde Magnet student. Come right here, Ava.
Okay.
Who will be off to great and amazing things in her life. She scored a perfect score on her ACT. Oh yes, brilliant young woman. These are some things, and Darren's here tonight, Darren Frank, so at the end we'll get some pictures for the parents. Y'all can come on up here, I know you're proud. What are your parents' names?
This is my dad, Carl.
Carl, wonderful daughter, and this is?
My mom, Julia.
Hi, Julia. Tammy Hayes. And you are? William. It is so nice to meet you. Are you going to follow in your big sister's footsteps? Yeah, look at those dimples. Oh, darling. Well, these are a few things about Ava. Her extracurricular activities. A well-rounded young woman. Varsity soccer, 2-time state champion and runner-up this year. Impressive. National Honor Society, we probably figured that out. National Honor Society member. Beta Club member, and she's secretary of the Beta Club. Plays clarinet in the school's wind ensemble. Mid-state silver band once and gold twice. And participates in the Vanderbilt Blair Academy's Philharmonic Symphony. That's awesome. DECA, top 20 internationally for accounting and first in state last year. She's the numbers girl. School-wide spirit shop, Hawk Shop officer. So do you run the store, the spiritware store?
We have 3 officers, and we run it and deliver orders every week.
Y'all make a good profit on that?
Yeah,
Good.
it's good for DECA.
This is a numbers girl. It goes for a good cause for DECA. Test prep officer. And Abel, what is that? Tell her about what a test prep.
We have a test prep club that's kind of just focused on any standardized testing. It was started this year by Josiah, but I'm one of the officers, and we just meet every week, and we're flexible. We'll look at the ACT, PSAT, or whatever they really want to do.
And you all started that on your own?
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's a great idea. All of our high schools. And you are the Pan-Hellenic Council Executive, oversees organizing of games in Greek spirit for the school. Service hours. My goodness, you have 80 hours of volunteer work, tutoring in math at Fisher Science Center, food bank, and school projects, soccer stars. That's playing soccer with kids with disabilities. Beta projects like trash cleanup, Merrill Hyde indoor soccer tournament. And your future, you have listed interested in math and science and hopes to pursue a STEM major with possibly a minor in accounting. Any particular schools you have on the radar?
Not really.
Do you, Mom and Dad, do particular schools? William, you're so cute. Well, we are so proud. William, would you like to say something tonight? Are you proud of your sister? Yes, you should be. Very proud of your sister. Well, we're proud of you on behalf of the Sumner County School Board. And Darren Frank, principal, come on up here. Well, you set the culture and the climate at the school. Merrill Hyde's phenomenal. On behalf of the school board, this is just a little challenge coin for you. You keep going and doing the great things that you are doing now as you go into your college years and on to the next chapters of your life. So we're very proud of you, baby.
Thank you.
Very proud of you. third grade. You're a high. Okay, Jerry. Thank you, Jerry. Merry Christmas. We're so glad to have you here tonight. And I'll be looking forward to seeing you. Appreciate you doing your best. Okay. And I have the honor tonight of the Winslow, if y'all all come up here. If I don't get emotional while doing this one. Miss Gates is with you?
Yes.
Yes, good. There she is. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, if I don't get emotional, I have known this family a long time. Coach.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Miss Gates.
Good to see you.
Harrisville High School ag teacher, Melanie, my friend, and Haley. Caitlin. Okay, Caitlin.
Abby's her sister.
Yeah, I get them. The girls. If you ever in need of cabbie clothes, this woman can set you up. So I'm gonna read a few things that were submitted about Caitlin. Very little print. Caitlin Winslow, she's a sophomore here at Harrisville High School. She has a 4.0 GPA and has been an FAA member for 2 years. During that time, she's attended numerous leadership conferences and conventions, competed in conduct of a chapter meeting, agricultural mechanics, the Creed contest. Outside of FFA, Caitlin has been recognized as the HHS Freshman Softball Player of the Year, named to the District 9 AAA All-Tournament Team, and is a member of First Baptist Church of Hendersonville, who she just completed a mission trip to New York this past October. During her freshman year, she memorized the FFA Creed, written by E.M. Tiffany in 1930, and answered questions about the writing and how it pertains to the agriculture industry. She won district, sectionals, regional, and state competition with her rendition of the Creed. A few weeks ago, she presented the Creed for the final time as the Tennessee State finalist at the 96th National FFA Convention and received recognition as a bronze finalist on a national level. That is extremely exemplary. It's most outstanding. So we're proud of you. And it's an honor for me to be able to recognize you tonight. Would you share a little bit about the Creed and what that's about? I mean, I think that's a pretty lengthy and that you memorized. I know you're comfortable in front of people. You can share a little bit about the Creed.
Well, it basically just talks about the ways that agriculture can just be shown throughout everyday life. So it starts off every paragraph saying that I believe, so it's able as me as a young agriculturist to share my beliefs through agriculture and how I can pertain them through my everyday life as not only a student but also a friend and a family member. I don't know if Dr. Sawyer's here tonight. Okay.
We have Miss Allen,
Miss Allen.
CTE principal.
Oh, Miss Gates, would you like to say anything about Caitlin
Sure.
as her educator, as her teacher?
Yes. I just want to say that Caitlin is a phenomenal student and a wonderful example of an FFA member. She's always represented our chapter well, and she represented the Tennessee FFA Association really well this past year at Nationals, and we couldn't be more proud of her.
On behalf of the Sumter County School Board, You're a challenge coin. You just keep on keeping on. Being the grounded, godly woman that you are. And you go change the world. Okay? All right. Of all your members. Look at you.
I need a pill for tonight. I wasn't fully prepared.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
All right, next item on the agenda is hearing of delegations, hearing from the public. When we invite you down, when we call your name out, please come to the podium over there. The light will come on for you. You'll give your name and address for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes to speak on an agenda item. Please direct all your comments to the chair and don't call anyone out by name. First one on the agenda is Tracy Parker speaking on Hey Kiddo.
Wasn't the first paper, so I was not expecting to be the first one. My name's Tracy Parker. I live at 1110 Woodvale Drive in Gallatin, Tennessee, and I came to speak on the issue of Hey Kiddo that's up for review by the board tonight. I just once again want to offer my support of that. It's been in my library for a while. I teach at Station Camp Middle, and that was a book that I feel is very impactful because it's an autobiography. So it's his story. And he doesn't sugarcoat anything, but he doesn't hyperbole at all. There's no extras, in my opinion. I've seen him speak about it several times in person and in videos. And to me, one of the most powerful parts of that book, besides the hope that you leave with at the end, is there's a time that he goes and visits his mother, and she's in like a residential facility for rehabilitation for drug use. And she introduces him to a friend of hers that's there. And he doesn't know this lady, but she looks at him and she says, "Oh, yes, yes, my daughter's in your class." And he's like, what? And he said, she's like, "She's so-and-so." And he says, to himself, he's like, "Well, I would have never thought. She never says anything about," he goes, "Well, I don't either." So it was so pivotal for him to see that there were other kids who had the same situation that he had, with parents who were dealing with issues that took them away from them and made it so that they couldn't live with their parents and that kind of thing. And so to me, that was a really pivotal thing. I always go back to books being windows and mirrors. And for him, that was a little of both, to see that other people, he was not the only one who dealt with that. So I would encourage you to keep it, because there are people in my building of all groups and socioeconomic levels who are handling similar situation, and they need to see that that doesn't have to define you as a person at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Jessica Norris.
Hello, I'm Jessica Norris at 1041 Mansker Farms Boulevard. I want to thank the review committee for their vote in favor of keeping Hey Kiddo by Jarrett Krasowska accessible to 8th graders. The author was nice enough to send us a video that expresses the importance of this book better than I can, so I'm going to play this short video for you.
Hello, Sumner County. My name is Jared J. Korzoska. I'm the author and illustrator of the book that is under discussion tonight at your school board meeting, Hey Kiddo. How I lost my mother, found my father, and dealt with family addiction. I wrote this book not because I felt like I wanted to, but a deep feeling as though I needed to. You see, before I wrote this book, I was known as an author and illustrator for very lighthearted books, like the Lunch Lady graphic novels, several picture books. But when I first shared my story via a TED Talk, in which I talked about dealing with my mother's addiction to heroin, and not knowing who my father was, and the fact that my grandparents who raised me were alcoholics, that talk went viral. It's been viewed over 1 million times, but like 1.5 million and growing now. And the reason why that talk went viral is because so many people identified with the story. And every single school I would visit, and it wouldn't matter if I was in a red state or a blue state or a suburban, urban, or rural area, it wouldn't matter if I was in a private or public school, I would meet so many young people who would say to me, I saw your TED Talk and it made me feel less alone. Because I too am dealing with addictions in the home. I too have a parent who is either incarcerated or has overdosed or died. Every single story I heard empowered me to write Hey Kiddo. So I didn't write Hey Kiddo to be salacious. I wrote Hey Kiddo to be honest. Because there are difficult truths in our books, because there are difficult truths out there in the world. I wish I had a book like Hey Kiddo when I was growing up. Because I always felt so alone. I always felt like I was the only person in the world that had a mother that was dealing with addictions, that was absent from my life, that was incarcerated. And it turns out I was so far not alone. I can only imagine how my mental health would have flourished as a young person if I had known there are other stories out there. I also can't imagine how I might feel if somebody told me that a book that reflected my life situation was inappropriate. Because see, there are difficult truths in these books because of the real lived experiences. So when you brand a book as being inappropriate, you are telling that student with that lived experience that they are inappropriate. So none of these conversations are easy. And I really want to share my appreciation for all of the librarians who are fighting so hard for their students, all of the educators and the school board members who are fighting these fights because they know what can help their kids manage these very difficult realities they live with. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Norris. Next is Patricia Smith.
Wow, what an act to follow. I'm Patricia Smith. I live at 112 England Place in Hendersonville. I've been here before and I've talked to you before. I'm a retired principal. I've been a teacher, been a special ed teacher. I've done just about everything in the school system, not here. But I can tell you how much I appreciate all the work you're doing. This is hard. Everything that you do. I've been to a lot of your meetings, not all, but I've been here and I've watched you, and I really respect how hard you work. And because of that, when I talk about this book, I want to emphasize that I wish you didn't have to do this, because you have really, really important things to do. And we have teachers and librarians and principals that are really, really good, and parents who can oversee what their kids are doing. And parents get to decide. And children get to decide. Our students, our young people, they're not sitting around waiting for somebody to do something to them. I mean, they want to grow up. They want to find out about these things. They want to know about life. They don't want, that's what they're hardwired to do. And this is one of the things, books like this can help our students do that. They can help them to grow up, can help them to see through the mirror and through the window of life, and also increase their skills. Now, I told my grandkids that this was the very first graphic novel that I have ever read, and I really enjoyed it. This is a new type of art form that I'm very impressed with. And the author here did so much with this. It's so good, and it is an autobiography. It is his story. He wrote this because it is true. He didn't have to make anything up. He just wrote his story. And I worked with kids for almost 4 decades, plus my own. And I can tell you that kids, when they read a book, they understand who the protagonist is. They understand that there are hard things in life. They understand, and because they have them. Our students have the same problems that this author has. And and our teachers and our principals and our librarians know about this. And this is a wonderful, wonderful book. I really want to encourage you to keep this in our libraries. If you want to make it 8th grade and above, that's great. The author recommends 12 years old and above. I'm cool with that. But yeah, trust your librarians, trust your people, because this is really, really good. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Next is Amy Bratcher.
Good evening. My name is Amy Bratcher, and I live at 825 South Browns Lane in Gallatin, and I've been an educator in Sumner County for over 20 years. The last 19 years, I've been a teacher at Ellis Middle School, where I currently serve as the school's librarian, the very librarian who read, researched, and purchased Hey Kiddo for our school's library collection, the book that is up for vote tonight. I first learned about the possibility of a parental concern or challenge through social media posts, and one in particular stood out to me from a county commissioner who asked the question, what kind of adult thinks this book is appropriate for kids? Well, let me tell you. I grew up in a small town in North Alabama, not too far from here. My father is a retired Army colonel, and my mom is a former journalist turned homemaker. Growing up, I went to church every Sunday. I attended excellent public schools and made regular trips to the public library with my mom and sister every Saturday. I'm a college graduate 3 times over, and I've spent the entirety of my teaching career at the middle school level, which for some, that might make it seem like I have the patience of a saint, and others might think I'm crazy. But what I can tell you is that I'm proud to be the librarian at the center of this challenge. One of my responsibilities as a librarian is to provide a collection that is inclusive of the entire school community. In the last 20 years of teaching in Sumner County, I have come to realize that it does not matter where one resides in the county. It doesn't matter how much money one has in their bank account or what religion is or isn't practiced or who parents vote for. Our students are living the lives that are present in Hey Kiddo. We have students whose parents were teen moms and dads. We have students being raised by loving grandparents. Or we have students who are dealing with parents struggling with addiction or are incarcerated. And yes, we have many of our students who live in homes where inappropriate language is the norm. I grew up in a stable 2-parent household, and I always knew that I was, and I still am, very much loved. So I really didn't have much in common with young Jarrett in Hey Kiddo, except, ironically enough, what is at the center of this parental challenge, and that is inappropriate language. Now, I'm not going to name names or anything, but I will say that various members of my family use very colorful language on a daily basis. That's just the way it was. That's how I grew up, and I think I turned out okay, except when Auburn is playing football, and then there's no telling what I might say. But I think as adults, and I'm guilty of this myself, we don't always give children the credit that they deserve. Life is hard, and while kids might not always have the life experiences or resources to help them through certain situations, they do have books. And the best middle grade books reflect the lives of real students. The characters in these books are messy, they are flawed, but ultimately relatable. Young adult author Rachel Hartman once said, "The feeling of being seen and understood in fiction is transformative." And that's exactly why Jarrett Krasoska wrote Hey Kiddo the way he did. He wanted to share his life story in an authentic manner, showing the good, the bad, and the ugly. And he wants kids like him to be seen and understood. This book does have heavy topics, and it has language that we hope our students don't use. But its overarching themes of resiliency, hope, and love provide a strong and encouraging message to those students who are currently living a life that others call inappropriate. I'll close with this. For any parents, if you are concerned about particular books your child has access to in their school libraries, please reach out to their librarian. Be willing to have those conversations. And while we may not fully agree with each other, compromise is often possible. And I promise you, we librarians want what's best for all of our students. Thank you for your time this evening, and I hope the board will support the Ellis Library Review Committee's decision of keeping Hey Kiddo in the library.
Thank you, Ms. Bratcher. Next is Holly Cruz.
Holly Cruz, 3275 Hartsville Pike, Castalian Springs. Thank you as always for allowing me to come and speak with you all this evening. I am here to ask you to vote to please keep Hey Kiddo in our school library. I think you've heard some very beautiful stories this evening about the impact of this book, especially relating to the school where this book was challenged. I am here because I, again, would like for you to keep it, but I would also like for us to reflect on the past year. We have been now, it's been over a year that we have been here discussing books from a range of topics. And I hope that for those of you that maybe are going to vote differently tonight than you have previously and vote to keep this book rather than remove it, that you will please take the time to consider why you feel like this book is okay to stay and the other books you believed were inappropriate. I want for you to consider that these books are selected to represent all of our students and our entire community. And whether you agree with it or not, some of these very hard, challenging books and topics and ideas are representative of our entire community. Please vote to keep this book. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cruz. That ends public speaking. So next item on the agenda is matters involving council. We have no matters involving council tonight. So the next item from there is reports from the director. Dr. Langford, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Brewer. Let's see. Hang on 1 second. I'm sorry. I was on a different agenda. All right. Let me start with. I'm gonna. If everybody's okay, I want to do a couple things first. One is release time Bible study. So we have a contingent here tonight. Mr. Ray and his group from SOS, and they have been working over the last, I'd say, 1 year. Yeah. To put together the opportunity for students to have access to a release time Bible study. The state law is clear that parents have the right to sign a permission form with a group that meets certain criteria with the state and have students leave for 1 hour to go to a release time Bible study. That is worked out between the group and the parents and the principal. We have the option to create a policy. I think the policy is difficult to do for a number of reasons. One, it's not necessary, right? Because state law is clear that parents have the ability to do it. I think if you start trying to craft a policy, you have to take into account, let's just take elementaries, 27 different elementary schedules. It's going to be hard to craft a schedule that says when you can do this, when you can't do it. It might be different at each school, might be different group to group. I think that what we might consider doing is SOS is ready to roll at HB Williams in January. We use that as a field test. I've met with Mr. Ray and his group, and they will background check everybody that has access to kids. They have transportation lined up, they have food lined up, they have everything that you would want lined up. And so I think it's a good first run to see if we needed a policy, what that would look like. but it does meet all the criteria for state law. So while I don't think there's a need for a policy, I do think it's something that we will continue to get feedback from HB Williams and from our group here from SOS, and see if it's something that at a later date we need a policy. So I just wanted to give you an update on that. By state law, they are well within their rights to offer this to our kids, and our parents are fully able to take advantage of that. I think Mr. Lancaster.
Only question I have is, does the state not allow, the state allows, I know this is at HB Williams, but so that's elementary, but if we had a group that went into a high school, the state does allow a credit for, potentially for this. So that, would we then need, I guess, to look at a policy then?
Yeah, I think so. Like Knox County, Mr. Johnson found that Knox County had a policy under this law, and the reason they drafted a policy was because they had kids that were going to do a 4-credit Bible class. Now we are, later on you'll see in the high school curriculum guide, the state of Tennessee also allows us to offer Bible as a credit, and it's now reflected in our curriculum guide. It's taught at one of our high schools. So yes, I think that would be, if we had a group that wanted to do that as a time-released high school credit, at that point we would probably need to more seriously consider a policy, because you'd be taking transportation, then might be kids driving themselves there. There might be some different things that we want to look at there.
Thank you, Ms. Lancaster.
Okay.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes, Dr. Langford, will we get updates like from Mr. Ray members? They'll give us updates of how it's going and how.
Yeah, I think they would absolutely do that, and we can check with Mr. Witt as well at HB Williams.
Yeah, it'd be great just to hear from them a presentation as they work through this pilot. Are you calling it a pilot program?
Well, it's not really if we have no objections, I think Mr. Ray would like to share a couple words.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Brewer, if you're okay with that.
Is that okay, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, Dr. Langford, and thank you, school board members. I just want to make one a distinction, and that is, as Dr. Langford said, SOS. There are 2 SOSs, and we are SOS for the students. There is SOS organization, and they're a little different from us. So I want to make sure that you realize we are SOS for the students, and our focus is building biblical character in the students, partnering with the school board, partnering with the schools, partnering with the teachers. And as Dr. Langford said, that we've already been working with Mr. Witt at HB Williams, and it is a very positive experience. And we don't expect it to be any less than that. And we will give updates.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. All right. Next we have an exciting thing, and this is the start of a conference. So there's nothing that we're deciding on this tonight, but I wanted to give you an update on something that Mr. Nathan Garrett from TCAT Nashville is with us tonight. This is an opportunity that I think will really benefit the city of Portland, Sumner County Schools, and the TCAT program in Tennessee if a couple of things happen. So I'm going to share a letter that I received today. So as you know, we own the building that TCAT Portland is housed in. It's been a great partnership between Sumner County Schools, the City of Portland helped, and then TCAT Nashville that operates TCAT Portland. We started this probably about 10 years ago, this partnership, and we basically took the building that used to be part of the old Portland High School, the vocational building at the old Portland High School that sits next to Portland East Middle School. We took that building and we converted it. Mr. Gregory can tell you the whole story. We converted that building into the TCAT building. Okay, and over the course of the last 8 to 10 years, They have filled that building. It goes nearly 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They are cranking out adults that are trained in welding and other career paths. We have our TCAT, or our middle college technical there. So we have anywhere usually around 30 students that are attending there, and they get their associate's degree or license at the same time that they get their high school diploma. For instance, last year I think we had 3 kids that completed welding certificates, and they got hired by the Rogers Group before they graduated from high school. It's a great program. But one of the things that they've hit over the last couple, Governor Lee and the legislature have invested millions and millions of dollars into technical education in Tennessee. And last year they had a big run of money for technical programs. TCAT Portland did not receive any of those funds because Sumner County Schools owns the building, not TCAT Portland. So one of the things that's been proposed, and Leader Lamberth will be carrying this before the legislature over the next few years, is to try to secure about $35 million to remake TCAT Portland. And if you'll look, there are some, I wish I meant to print this in color, it doesn't capture it fully, but right now that's a 60 or 70-year-old building that sits there with a lot of needs. What they would be doing is adding, I believe, Mr. Garrett, about 35,000 square feet. 35,000 square feet of new space, and the partnership would be in exchange for what we will be considering in the future is, do we want to transfer ownership of that building and that space to TCAT Portland? And some of the things that just preliminarily talking that we've, the essentials for us is that we're able to still have our middle college program there. We have a one-to-one clinic there that's centrally located in Portland that our employees are able to utilize. It's a big blessing for us. And then, maybe not most importantly, but very importantly, as long as we're playing football at that stadium, to be able to park cars there on Friday nights for football games. And so all 3 of those things are pretty amenable to TCAT Nashville. So it's a conversation that we want to begin to have. But I think it's pretty exciting to think about. If you think about, we'll be building a new stadium right behind Portland East High School. It'll look so good. And then we're going to revitalize, hopefully, TCAT Portland that will meet the needs of the community in Portland and in that region for the next 50 years. It's really a pretty exciting opportunity for us to explore. I just wanted to share. This is the information that we have now. Mr. Garrett, did I miss anything? Okay. All right. And if you have a chance, Mr. Garrett took over. Is it 3 years ago that you took over TCAT? 2 years ago. And has done amazing work in terms of the enrollment at TCAT and the offerings for our kids. It's been and is the husband of a Sumner County teacher, and most importantly, a Sumner County special education teacher. So we're definitely thankful for that. Do y'all have any questions about this? Yeah.
I guess would this be kind of similar? I know Bradley County has the Pie Center. That would it be? Is this kind of similar to that concept, or what is the?
I believe that Bradley County operates that as part of the school system.
So this would not be operated by Sumner County Schools. It
right.
Would be operated by, but it would be for both. Would it be adult education and our CTE students?
Well, that's what it is now. I think that this is more of a Ms. Skinner question than mine. I guess it is ultimately mine, but I think the question is, we've run, like, that building has been vital in Sumner County vocational education for decades. Like when I was in high school, kids from Westmoreland and White House went over there for 2 periods a day in the morning or the afternoon to get training in a technical skill, but it was part of Portland High School. With the middle college program, we serve kids from all over the county there to get a technical license. We're limited now because of the space limitations at the building and the course offerings, because they don't have very many courses that aren't full. And that's the reason to need to expand the space. Mr. Lancaster, I think if we expand the space, we would have more flexibility in what we could do. One of the limitations of kids going straight to middle college is a lot of time the kids have to make that their school where they go to school. So they're not, they don't really do extracurriculars with their former school. They don't play sports, they don't do things like that. If we could create a part-time program with middle college where kids could go for 2 blocks and then come back to their zone school, It would help some in terms of scheduling, getting some classes that they need for graduation, because they could do that at their zone school and then go over there. It would give us some flexibility. Now, I'm not in any way suggesting that we're jumping towards something. This is something that'll take, 5 to 8 years by the time we get the property transferred and the building built or things like that. Mr. Garrett's ready to go tomorrow. But realistically, with the time of getting the money through the legislature and getting the project done and everything, but looking out on the horizon, it would give us a tremendous amount of flexibility to meet the needs of our kids in a multitude of different ways, largely because it would also expand the course offerings that are there.
Thank you.
Mr. Lancaster, Mr. Lacy?
Thank you, Chair. Do you know the courses that they'll be offering, or will that be more courses?
I could probably make a stab at it, but if there are no objections, I'm going to let Mr. Garrett answer that question.
Well, I appreciate that, Dr. But I think at the end of the day, we have about 8 different programs there right now: machine tool, nursing is a big one for us, welding, cosmetology, computer information technology, industrial maintenance. Those will all, the entire building will be renovated, plus an additional 35,000 square feet of space. And thank you, sir. And we are looking at several different programs to add based on private industry need. Something around diesel mechanics, HVAC is another option for us as well. And so for us, this is a really good opportunity to increase what we've been doing for the community in partnership with Dr. Langford and Sumner County Schools, and increase our enrollment. Because as of right now, Dr. Langford said it best, we're maxed out on space, and that building needs some TLC, and this is an awesome opportunity for us to work together as partners in the community to make sure that building is state of the art. And really, what they do in Portland is one of only 2 partnerships like this in the state of Tennessee with their Middle Technical College. And it is a model that every single place in the state needs to look at. Students graduating high school and TCAT with a job at 18, we invite them back the next year so they can bring that 4-wheel drive truck, Rogers crew hat, and that's our recruiting tool right there. And so we're very appreciative and think we can do some really neat things with this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Gary.
Thank you, Mr. Lacy. Ms. Andrews was next, I think.
Yeah, I know that we're not voting on anything tonight, but I want to make sure I'm understanding what the ask is going to be with this. So we currently own that building, correct?
That's correct.
And then I assume then we also own the additional land that it will be expanded upon. So are we being asked then just to sign that over? Is that being purchased from us? What is there? I mean, obviously they're not having to deal with the maintenance and then having the state investment for updates and revitalization. Obviously, is a financial asset, but property and buildings.
Yeah, I think what you're probably looking at, Mr. Presnell will be working on this a lot in the future, but I think like what we would be looking at to vote on eventually would be basically the reverse of what we have now. We own the land and the building, and they lease it from us for like $1 a year. Okay, so you'd probably be looking at a reverse of that, where we would have some type of agreement where we would lease the space. In exchange for giving the property, we would have a lease for like $1 for the middle college and the one-to-one clinic space. And then we would probably also put something in there like if all of a sudden the state of Tennessee decided that they wanted to sell the building and turn it into a car dealership or something like that, they wouldn't be able to do that. We would get the property back, like a reverter clause. Okay. Yeah, probably something like that. But that would all be negotiated between TCAT's attorney, legal representatives, and ours, and then that would come back. It would have to go to their board and to ours to approve.
Okay, I'm a huge supporter, as of these courses. I mean, I think that they're instrumental. Obviously, 4-year college is not for everybody, and more and more kids. I'm like, what are you doing? I want to do HVAC. I want to do electrical, and having the resources and the places for them to be properly trained, and then have the connection with the commercial industry for them to turn around and get a job right after. It is great, but I just want to make sure that as we work through the process, that I understand. As far as, again, land, you can't make more of it. So just want to make sure we're protecting that. And then, as with the building ownership. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Andrews. Ms. Hawkins?
Thank you. I think this is a wonderful idea. I've always felt like we need to have that alternative to college for those who love working with their hands, for those who want to get out and work right away and be skilled and job ready on day one.
And debt free.
And debt free, yes. So what I'm seeing is welding, machine tool, industrial maintenance, cosmetology, nursing, computer, auto, HVAC, automotive technology, industrial electricity, future technical program, health science, or health, county health something, suite, I think maybe. There's something that's painfully missing from this. And I know that we're talking about this $35 million that's going to be spent on the renovation and preparation of this, which I fully support. But we just saw Caitlin Wetzel with her FFA accomplishments. We had a student last year who was governor of 4-H, who's now at Harvard from Beach. I know that we were not allowed to spend $3 million to get started on a program with the Comer Barn to provide support for our agriculture students. And I know we could spend a lot of money on football and sports, and I fully support that. But I don't want to underrepresent and underappreciate agriculture, because 95%, I'm guessing, of what you get at the grocery store, you can thank a farmer. Anything made out of wood, you can thank a farmer. Clothing on your back, you can thank a farmer, whether it's animal husbandry or growing out of the ground. That's something I believe that's going to be more important than ever. I met with a group of FFA students last year who told me about how excited, one student was so excited because she was excelling in the judging of swine. You like your bacon and your ham? We want to support those students too. Their biggest lament was that the fairgrounds going away. So I fully support this, spending $35 million for these things. I don't want to forget our FFA and our 4-H and our agriculture students.
Yeah, and Ms. Hawkins, I think that one of the advantages we have moving forward is, I think too, is like if we can create this partnership, it takes some things that are harder for us to do sometimes because of the cost of equipment. We have really strong FFA programs in each school, and I think what we can begin to do, you know, for a long time, the way that dual enrollment was structured, there were two sets of obstacles. One, the state provided for 2 dual enrollment classes. Vol State created a grant program where they gave our students another 2, but that locked all of our students in for all 4 classes at Vol State. A couple years ago, the legislature moved that to 4 dual enrollment classes for all students, and because the state was picking up the cost for all of it, it allows us to use different dual enrollment providers. And so I think what we'll be able to do in the future is partner with UT Martin or some other schools that have really, and we'll be able to do some dual enrollment agriculture classes and draw on the strength that we already have in our FFA programs. Because sometimes what they can do is, because the hard thing that the college has with dual enrollment is finding the instructor. You know, a lot of our ag teachers have master's degrees. They can teach a dual enrollment class, and they can do that during the school day on campus, and it'll give us that opportunity too. But I like, you know, I was telling Ms. Wetzel, I was like, I was a green hand officer. I did livestock judging, and by some miracle made it to the state tournament. Like, I didn't know a whole lot about livestock, but you know, but you learn a lot in all those different FFA activities, and they're huge for our kids. And you know, the largest FFA program in the state of Tennessee is at Hendersonville High School, which is exciting. And you know, we have the greenhouses are going up all over our county. Almost all of our, you know, a significant number of our schools have a greenhouse now, and it's exciting. We absolutely need to build on that.
Mr. Gregory.
I go by the school a few times every year. It's one of the most outstanding situations we have in Sumner County. Outstanding leadership is Ms. Godwith. Outstanding teachers. And as Ms. Hawkins just read some of the offerings that they have. It's provided a lot, not only for Portland, but Sumner County. And I think 2 years, year before last, there were students graduated from every high school ever in Sumner County. This past year, I think there was only one school that was missing. So it covers Sumner County. It doesn't just cover Portland. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gregory. Mr. Lacy?
Yeah, I would like to just tag team on what District 6 said. We really need some sort of agriculture barn in our county. Our students have to leave Sumner County to show their animals, their livestock, to do judging. We really need that for our students. I really believe that.
Thank you, Mr. Lacy. Mr. Lancaster? Back to you.
Okay. All right. We'll jump now to.
Mr. Lancaster.
It's because I had on this. It's because I had on the sport coat. I borrowed it from Mr. Lancaster. He wanted me to. Let's, if we can, I wanted to update everybody on capital projects and stadium, just about where we are. Oop, hang on, I gotta turn it on. All right, so we have approved a great many capital projects since July 1st. And so I wanted to roll through some of them. A lot of them, you know, as we've talked about before, there are long lead times on a lot of capital equipment right now, especially HVAC stuff. So talked to Mr. Brown, and I wanted to give you an update on where we are in a lot of these projects. Station Camp High School soccer building, they're still finishing out the groundwork. It's in process, but as you know, like when you're building a building like that, it requires an extensive amount of work with dirt and everything else before you get it rolling. Gallatin High School football stadium fence was completed before the first football game this year. Merrillhide Magnet paving, we approved it on the 22nd of August and it was completed over fall break. Madison Creek Elementary gutter replacement is underway but not completed. Station Camp High School gym roof is 95% completed. They ran out of the little fasteners, so they have about 20 more fasteners they need to put on. And then because of the nature of the product, they have to do a manufacturer's walk for the warranty. So that's kind of where we are. It should be done very soon. The Station Camp hallway floors. If you remember, we're going to replace the flooring throughout the school building. We will do as, I talked to Mr. Brown today, we will do as much of the first floor as possible over Christmas. We're not sure if we'll be able to get all of the first floor, as much of it as we can, because what we want to do is have enough time to wax the floors so that we're not walking on them all semester unwaxed before we're able to do that. And then whatever we don't get finished over Christmas, we will finish in the summer. Station Camp, let's see, Westmoreland Middle Cooling Tower should be here. The cooling tower should be in the next week or two, and their crew is set up to install it as quickly as they can. The Polaris Rangers, we're still in the waiting for delivery, as we are with school buses, but Mr. Grassley, school buses are coming much faster now than they were where we used to have about an 18-month wait for school buses. All right, the security laminate, Ms. Brown, can I share when that will start? Is it? Okay. Okay, since I put her on the spot. The installation, we can't say detail where it will start, but the laminate installation will begin next week. And we're excited about that. The lab chairs are on order for Hendersonville High School. Again, the HVAC units for Madison Creek, Nanny Berry, all those other HVAC projects that are listed there. We're in the queue to get the HVAC materials, and they'll start going in as soon as they come in. They have various arrival times. Portland High School roof project, they've been out, they've measured, they've done all the work. We have a stamped engineering plan for it. As soon as they get the roofing materials in, they will replace the roof at Portland High School. The white building HVAC at White House High School, the units have been delivered. We're waiting on the ductwork to come. As soon as the ductwork gets here, they'll start installing that. Okay. All right, and then, we voted in previous months on the network infrastructure and the tech for Liberty Creek Middle and White House Intermediate. Those are ordered. That there's a several month lead time on those. We approved them, so we go ahead and make sure we have them in before the start of school. Gallatin High small gym, we approved that. It's in process again with all the other HVAC stuff. It's on lead time. The Gallatin High School auditorium HVAC unit is on tonight's agenda, along with furniture and fixtures for Liberty Creek Middle and White House Intermediate. We also have a bid that's on there for 1,768 locks. That bid will allow us to move quickly as soon as the locks come in on installing and replacing locks around the district. I want to thank Ms. Brown and Mr. Cotter and their team for the work that they've done, along with Mr. Brown for looking at the door locks. Okay, in terms of stadium updates, we're 239 days away from July 31st. Okay, so demo is now complete. We completed demo the week of Thanksgiving at Hendersonville High School. This is, you can see Ellis Middle School in the background. That is the demolition at Hendersonville High School on the home side. The visitor side was already complete. Beach High School, home and visitors complete. Portland High School, home side. All the demolition is complete. All the rubble has been removed. We're ready to roll as soon as we have contracts in place from the bids. All right, surveying. We couldn't complete all the surveying until all the debris was removed from the sites. Now that final surveying is completed at all sites. Geotechnical drilling, obviously we were able to start a little bit earlier at Portland. So the geotechnical drilling has been completed at Portland High School. It will be completed at Beach and Hendersonville on the 11th and 12th of December. And then architectural planning. This is just, that's clip art from the internet. That's not one of our actual stadiums. I was given a choice by the architect. I could ask them to do renderings for what the stadiums would look like, or I could have them work on the bid documents. It's more important to have them do the bid documents than it is to have a picture. The pictures will come. But bleacher structure design for Beach High School is done. The architect has met with coaches, principals, parents, supporters to sketch out and get an idea of what goes underneath the bleachers and where everything will be located. And then that process will take place, the architect is meeting with a group from Hendersonville High School, I think next week. And then the structural design for PHS is near completion. So as the architectural planning is done, of course, these bid documents that will go out the last part of January, probably around the 30th, these bid documents are comprehensive because you're talking about exactly where piers are located, you're talking exactly how high they are, there's detailed descriptions of everything. This is a 75-year investment. The lifespan of galvanized steel and aluminum bleachers is about, I think, 72 or 74 years, something like that. This is an investment that will take the need to replace bleachers off of our plate for a significant amount of time. All of our lifetimes, probably. So, we want to move fast. We also want to get it right. So that process will go once those bids are issued. You need to give contractors 2 or 3 weeks to be able to come out, have their teams look at the site, measure, do all the things that they want to do to see if they want to bid it. If you go much less than that time frame, you're not going to get good bids. So our goal is to have the bids opened and on the February board agenda. So that will then give us 160, 170 days to move to completion of our stadium project. It's going to be a tight timeline. We're going to push as hard. We're pushing 5 or 6 months of planning into 2.5 months. So we've got, I'm thankful Reagan Smith is one of the largest civil site design groups in the state and country. Katz Binkley builds a lot of schools and school projects. They're very good at what they do, and they have a lot of connections in the industry to speed things up. So that's where we are on Capitol and Stadium, if y'all have any questions.
So did you say the soil prep stuff had been done, or was it in process? I might have missed.
The drilling is completed at Portland. Okay. The drilling will be completed at Beach and Hendersonville on the 11th and 12th of December. They can't drill the spots where the foundation stuff goes until all the debris was removed.
Were there any surprises at Portland?
We haven't gotten the final report back yet, but I don't, that will probably be the easiest site in terms of coming back in.
Okay, thanks.
other questions? We'll move right along. Thank you, Dr. Lancaster. I did it again. I messed up his handwriting for 8 years now, so.
This is sport coat.
It's got to be the sport coat. You should have worn your sport coat. Thank you, Dr. Lancaster. I'm going to get it right here. I just washed my mouth out and can't do a thing with it. I'm telling you.
I'm get a name tag.
I think we all need name tags. All right, new business, discussion and interaction regarding Union Elementary STEM and Demonstration School 24-25 school calendar. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Mr. Daniels, second by Mr. Lacy. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is discussion and interaction regarding Sumner County TISA report. Motion, is there a motion? Motion approved, Mr. Gregory. Second by Mr. Lancaster. The real Mr. Lancaster. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Next item, discussion and interaction regarding bids for the Gallatin High School Auditorium HVAC. Motion approved by Mr. Wise, second by Mr. Daniels. Any discussion? Ms. Hawkins.
I just have a question. Will Gallatin High School still be using the geothermal piping? And I know that Gallatin High School is unusual in its design, using the pipes that go way down into the earth and get the temperature and then come back. Are they still going to be using that?
I'll have to get you an answer on that,
Oh,
Ms.
okay.
Hawkins, but it looks like, I'm looking at the bid, it looks like we're disconnecting from the existing unit, isolating and disconnecting geothermal. I believe that part of the issue is it's hard to go back with that, and so they had to use a different.
I was just
different
curious
yeah.
because it was so innovative at the time, trying to conserve energy by using the Earth's temperature. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Hawkins. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Next item, discussion and interaction regarding bids for furniture and fixtures for Liberty Creek Middle and White House Intermediate. Motion approved by Mr. Wise, second by Mr. Lancaster. Discussion, Ms. Hawkins.
I was looking through some of these items, and some of the code numbers, I didn't even know what I was looking at as far as what the prices were. But I did have a question about the CBI Workplace Solutions. Did we look at other providers to compare prices?
Yeah, I think Ms. York looks at the ones that are on state contract or federal any of the contracts that we have access to for purchasing. Those are companies usually that are geared towards working with school systems, so they're able to. The biggest thing that you run into now is, can you get the actual product? So I think it's a mix of lowest price because it's all on government bid, and then also the ability to get it in time for school to start.
I understand. I just, it seemed like there was one item that I actually recognized that I could figure out what it was.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to find it. And so I just, out of curiosity, just to see what it was, and I can't find it now, just Googled it because it's showing like $2,600 per chair. It's the Petite Club chair with wire base, $2,362. When I Googled that to see just what it was, the ones that I saw weren't anywhere near that high. And I'm just wondering what's so special that would make these particular chairs and other items so much more expensive.
Which school you're on?
I am on White House. It's the Petite Club chair with wire base. And I just Googled it out of curiosity because I didn't even know what that was.
Yeah,
and it's just a big square upholstered chair with metal legs. And the highest, most of them were like 900. Page 2 out of 6. See, and it was just an example because some of these I didn't even know what I was looking at to see what the prices were. And
So I think I can find out from Ms. York. I think that that's 4 sets of 26 chairs.
oh, okay.
I think I can find out, but
Well, yes, 26W, that would certainly make a difference.
I can assure you that we've never bought a $2,600 chair in the
Okay.
history of Sumner County.
Thank you.
That would have been more than we spent on chairs in the entire 90s, I think.
That's what, I mean, just the coding and everything, I didn't know what I was looking at to be able to compare. So the 26 chairs,
I think that sounds
definitely.
that sounds better.
Yes, okay.
It's 4. No, I think that's a quantity of 4.
4 packs of 26?
I think. I'll find that out for sure. but-
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mr. Lacy?
Off of what District 6 said, I mean, you Google it right here. For petite club chairs, it's anywhere from $1,500 to $1,600 to $2,000. So it's not 26 chairs, it's 1 chair, I would assume. Because you can Google the part number and it'll bring it up. It's 4 chairs.
It's 4. Thank you, Mr. Lacy.
Yeah, it's okay. I stand corrected. It is. It's they look like library chairs or lounge seating. I'm not sure.
Oh, Ms. Hawkins, I'm sorry.
Well, if that's the case, then I do have a problem with that. Unless there's something particularly about that item that makes it so much more special than anything that you would get at a furniture store, I guess. And I don't mean to be too picky, but a lot of these things, I don't know what I'm looking at to see the prices, and I'm just concerned that this one thing I looked up seemed to be way more expensive than what I'm seeing available online. And so I hesitate to approve. I don't want to hold up the project, but I do want to know if we have done comparison shopping on these things.
I mean, what I can tell you is that Ms. York does this every day, and she's done a tremendous job managing our inventory of furniture and rotating it out. Like, I obviously don't look at every item of furniture that we purchase, you know, when we're outfitting a school. But I mean, you know, if you wanted to, I don't know the effect if we delay a month. I mean, you could probably make an amendment to pull out those chairs, but I'm a little hesitant to say that off of 1 chair at 1 school that we should pull both of these school items for furniture off. I'm concerned about turning that around, but I mean, I can tell you that, you know, our team has done a tremendous job of getting furniture for schools. You know, and it may be that if you comparison shop, that's what those chairs cost.
That was my question, was I don't know what I'm looking at to know whether that is a fair price or not, and it's only one I actually did an experimental search for, so I don't know what.
I mean, ultimately it's y'all's decision. If you want to pull it off, we can wait, but my concern is we're going to jeopardize having furniture at White House Intermediate, and I'm just stating the reality. And also prices will change at the end of the year. Ms. Brown may be able to.
And I have not Googled other than just right when you did it. I will say though, like you said, Jamie does an excellent job, and I will say our furniture is also more commercial grade. And so my quick Google showed like Wayfair, and I don't know what you were Googling. So I don't know.
Well, and
yeah.
That was my question, was is this a higher grade, a higher quality?
Yeah.
I just don't know. I would hope so.
Yeah, and Jamie definitely does price shop, and she really does work hard. But Dr. Langford, he may be stepping out to give them a call. Well, and if not, I can call Chris or Jamie.
Well, and I don't mean to cause a monkey wrench, but that was just something that caught my eye, and I wanted to understand.
That's standard. I've priced library furniture in the last 2 years, so has Amy. That is the world. You put school furniture in front of it, and that is very standard price. And it is partially like that is not out, that, I'm not gonna say it's fair, but it's not out of bounds.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
That answers my question.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Hawkins. All right, we got a motion and a second on the floor. Looks like no more discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Abstain.
One abstention. Do you get that, Mr. Johnson? All right. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is discussion and interaction regarding Hendersonville Fire Department MOU for fire protection services for Beach Elementary, T.W. Hunter Middle, and Beach High School.
Motion to approve with a question. Does it need to be waived second reading? I'm sorry.
It just takes one reading, yes, sir.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Need a second. Second by Ms. Andrews. Now discussion.
Mr. Brewer, could I jump in just for
Yes,
1 second?
please.
I wanted to highlight a couple things. One, I was talking to Ms. York, and I'll get an answer for that.
We got it cleared up.
Okay, good.
We got answers.
All right. So first off, let me say, we appreciate the fire support that we receive all across the county from our cities and from our volunteer fire departments. Okay, everybody does an outstanding job. You know, I can tell you, personally, my family benefited tremendously from Cottontown Volunteer Fire Department for many, many years. And I think everybody would say that about all of our firefighters, whether they're with the cities or whether they're from the volunteer departments. Obviously, at the beach community, Shackle Island Volunteer Fire Department will continue to respond to calls at Beach Elementary, Beach High School, and T.W. Hunter. I'm very thankful we've got Mayor Clary here tonight. He and Mr. Bush, or Chief Bush, have agreed to offer to us additional fire coverage where the city of Hendersonville will respond outside of city limits to come support. If there's a fire or an emergency at Beach High School, Beach Elementary, T.W. Hunter, we will take support from anywhere it will come. And so we are very thankful both, to the support that we've had for years from Shackle Island Volunteer Fire Department, but also we are very thankful, Mayor Clary reached out and offered, as soon as he knew that it was probably that the interlocal agreement was not going to be signed between the city of Hendersonville and Shackle Island. He reached out because he and Chief Bush, because they're like, we don't want the beach schools to not have fire coverage from a city also. So I am very appreciative to Mayor Clary and his team for the work that they've done to help support us, because they don't have to do it, but they're the beach schools are not in the city of Hendersonville, but they wanted to reach out and help. So I'm deeply appreciative to Mayor Clary. They've gone above and beyond to cover us and provide extra support for our schools.
Thank you.
All right, motion seconds on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of Mr. King.
Yeah, so what has changed? Because it appears for the last 20 years we've had, they've come to assist when we need it in Shackle Island. So what has changed, and why suddenly the change in relationship?
I really don't know. I mean, it's interlocal agreements between fire departments, the city, and volunteers, but it's not anything like. My concern is, do we have the most fire coverage possible at Beach High School, Beach Elementary, and T.W. Hunter? I really don't. I have no idea. I would guess there's probably something with insurance or something like that that requires that move.
Okay.
But that would be sheer speculation on my part, and I don't know.
Okay. I'm just wondering if this is necessary, this agreement with the schools. I'm just wondering if that is really a necessary thing that we need to address, because it's my understanding that I think they're going to meet next week, and a lot of this could change because it's my understanding there's another agreement on the table that that Shackle Island actually signed, and so that's going to be coming before the mayor and BOMA to discuss. I've talked to a couple of aldermen with Hendersonville, and they've told me that they feel pretty confident that an agreement, an interlocal agreement, is going to be coming, and so that's my question. It's like if they're still working this out, perhaps we ought to just wait and see what they're going to do, because for years it's just been those two entities having a mutual aid agreement with the state, and so I'm just thinking that we don't really need to get involved with this. I believe Hendersonville Fire Department will, if there's a request, they'll show up.
Yeah, my concern would be is if they don't get that done next week. I'm happy that you're optimistic about what happens in government sometimes, but my concern as director of schools is that we have the ability to have every available unit respond in the event that we had an emergency on the beach campus. And so it doesn't hurt anything for, like, we're not really a part of whatever needs to be worked out between Hendersonville Fire Department and Shackle Island Volunteer Fire Department. That's between them for their mutual understanding agreement. Our concern, at least from my perspective, our concern is making sure that we have city fire protection for schools that are outside the city limits of Hendersonville.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right now, what other fire departments would assist at Beach beyond Shackle Island?
Probably just Shackle Island. That's right there in their area.
So we'd have to get into local agreements. So what I'm saying is, do we have to get a similar agreement with White House or a similar agreement with Goodlettsville?
I don't know. I feel like Hendersonville is probably on the front edge of addressing this need. I'm not sure. I think it's something that could come down the pike. Obviously, as we build more schools that are outside the city, if there's not an interlocal MOU, I don't think that the city of Hendersonville has ever had any problems getting interlocal agreements signed with volunteer fire departments. But I think most of them have those done. So
yeah.
I think in the event, like let's say if the city of Westmoreland, the Westmoreland schools they would still be in the city limits of Westmoreland, but you could have a Bethpage Elementary or North Sumner or something like that. If the ability to get fire coverage there lapsed, we would have to try to work out some kind of agreement.
Okay. Then that's the thing. It's like, but up until now, there's been an agreement. And I know that Hendersonville Fire has come out in fact, I believe the number where they've actually assisted between 2019 to 2023 has been 14 instances where they actually provided additional services. Now that's about 2 or 3 a year, where they're actually called, and I think, and they come out and actually assist. So it's not like it's something that's happening all the time, but I know that Shackle Island signed an agreement with Goodlettsville. They signed an agreement, I believe, with White House. A similar agreement is on the table with Hendersonville that they already signed. So, and that's going to be looked at a week from tonight.
Yeah.
So, and in the meantime, I just want to share. I know that we do have coverage from Goodlettsville Fire, White House Fire Department, White House Volunteer Fire Department, Millersville Fire Department, Cottontown Fire Department, Gallatin, and even Nashville, and all of them they're willing to provide fire coverage without paperwork, similar to what is these interlocal agreements that's being demanded by Shackle Island. And so all of those entities are willing to support our schools. And in the case of a major fire at Beach, Hendersonville right now is the odd man out because of some kind of convoluted insurance situation. I did get some information on that. It appears that MTAS came out with sort of an updated interpretation of the law, because this is based on the Mutual Aid Act of 2004, where it was just understood. One entity would just go and help, no matter what. Hendersonville would come out, Shackle Island would come out, Millersville would show up. Without any questions, without any kind of mutual agreement or interlocal agreement. there was so MTAS came out with this updated interpretation of that suggested perhaps there may need to be some third-party liability coverage. However, and this is what one alderman told me, he spoke to the attorney from that insurance company, which is PEP, with Public Entity Partners, and he said that the change in interpretation with MTAS was primarily addressing law enforcement with issues like wrongful deaths, shootings, etc. They said that they were not worried about the fire departments, and this is why many fire departments don't feel they need to have interlocal agreements. The state mutual aid law is more than sufficient, and it has been working just fine for almost 20 years. So I'm just thinking that this agreement, I mean, there's some problems that I see in it. So it makes it sound like, so Hendersonville, are they going to, for every time there's an alarm or a call out of Beach, they're going to respond? Is that how I understand this?
Yes.
Okay, so yesterday there was an alarm at Beach. It was an HVAC unit that started blowing smoke and going haywire. They put out the call. Shackle Island was there and had a fire unit there in under 2 minutes. This agreement makes it sound like Hendersonville is going to be the primary dispatch, not Shackle Island. So what will end up happening is they'll get, the call will go out, Henderson will have to come all the way from where, all the way from their station, and Shackle Island, I guess, is not going to be the primary.
I don't think that this agreement establishes primacy. I think it establishes coverage, because we don't have any authority to say anything. My guess is that whoever dispatches will dispatch to everybody, and
Right.
they'll figure out who has primacy. Whoever's there first probably will have primacy, because by the time one of the others gets there, if it's a fire alarm. My question for us, and I think really the only question for the school board is, if there's an emergency at a school, if there's a fire or any other kind of emergency that requires fire protection, I don't care where they come from. I want all of them. I want Goodlettsville, Millersville, White House, Hendersonville, everything. And and I know that when Chief Bush reached out to see if we'd be willing to do the MOU, I've known Chief Bush for a long time, known Mayor Clary for a long time. They've always been over backwards to accommodate and help the schools. And so it seems like I don't want, if there's a fire at Beach High School, Beach Elementary, T.W. Hunter, I don't want to have to refer to MTAS documents or MOUs or things like that. I want firefighters there, boots on the ground.
Right.
That's my concern. Like I'm not concerned about the agreements per se, but if it gives us, if it helps the city of Hendersonville provide fire coverage to us that they're not obligated by law to provide, then I'm in favor of it. But I mean, I'm not voting. I'm just giving a recommendation.
State law allows them to come out if they have to.
Okay.
Now, so I think Tennessee code would make Shackle Island have jurisdiction in that area. So they would be they would have the liability and the control over the situation by law. However, it just sounds like they may not. It's possible that they may not get the call. And I find it interesting on item 4 on this agreement, says that down at the last sentence, the liability and responsibility as between the parties shall rest solely with the party requesting aid and within whose jurisdiction the property exists or the incident occurs. So it could be that this makes it sound, and with the way this is written out, Hendersonville will automatically get a call, and for like an incident that happened yesterday, it might be possible that they don't use Shackle Island, but yet the liability and responsibility still falls with Shackle Island.
No, this would be, the liability would be with us, right? Because we would be the one making the call. What that's saying is that they wouldn't be. That doesn't say anything that you just said.
Well, by law, they're Shackle Island's jurisdiction.
No, but it's
right there. So
what 4 says is that we are the ones that would be initiating the call, so we would be liable. Not.
We would be the ones initiating the call. This is for assistance, further assistance. So this is for one fire station calling for assistance to another fire station.
I got you. Okay.
So I guess my point is, this just seems like this is moot. Why are we getting involved with this when those two entities can work this out, and they're going to work it out in a week? In the meantime, we have fire coverage. You know, if there's a major incident, the whole world's going to show up at Beach. You know, if there's a 5-alarm fire at Long Hollow Baptist Church, the whole world's going to show up, except for maybe Hendersonville. It sounds like they don't want to come unless they have something in writing. So I think it's.
I would just look at it the other side, which would be is if we had that event, why would we want to eliminate over a bureaucratic technicality fire coverage from one of the largest fire departments?
Well, we're not. We're letting them work that out between Chappaqua Island and Hendersonville. That's what I'm saying. I don't think we need to have an agreement.
I think if you want the city of Hendersonville to respond to the beach schools, then we need to sign an agreement.
They will. If we don't have an agreement here and there's an agreement, there's already a state law, there's already a state mutual aid agreement that covers the entire state. Okay, so what's happened is this little change in insurance that in fact, Gallatin has said they don't even need to have an interlocal agreement with Chappaqua Island. They're going to go ahead and come out. So do we need to get an agreement, a school agreement with Gallatin too?
Well, let me just say this, okay? And the city of Hendersonville has requested that if we want city of Hendersonville fire coverage at T.W. Hunter, Beach Elementary, and Beach High School, we need to approve an MOU until, at whatever time, Chappaqua Island Volunteer Fire Department and the city of Hendersonville reach an interlocal agreement. I personally would recommend that the board not take the risk of not having the agreement when there's no real cost to us except signing an agreement saying that we will welcome and receive fire coverage and support from the city of Hendersonville. I don't have any taste to get into the squabbles of, you know, fire departments, regardless of whether it's Portland, White House, Westmoreland, Gallatin, Hendersonville, wherever. My job and our job is to make sure we've got adequate fire coverage at each of our schools.
So right now, all those people are going to come and support our schools, but Hendersonville's not.
That's not my question to resolve.
That's just how it sounds. I mean, it sounds like unless they get not only an agreement from us and then an agreement from Chappaqua Island, they've decided to deny emergency services outside of their city limits. That just seems really harsh for them to do that. And I'll be honest with you, I think they're within their, I don't think the insurance is going to really be an issue if they were to go outside, because it'll be like how they've been doing for 20 years. There's not been a problem. So
I can't answer those questions. I can just say from my perspective as director of schools, yeah, I want all fire protection possible for our kids and school staff, everybody.
Well, I mean, I do too, but that's what I'm saying. I think we're going to get an agreement between those two parties here very shortly, and that's what I'm saying. The other issue is, if we approve this, it's going to have to go to BOMA anyway. It's not going to, and they're going to have to talk about this next week anyway. And they've got an agreement on the table signed by Chappaqua Island already there that's ready for them to discuss. I mean, but then they're going to discuss this agreement as well. So my point is, if they decide to agree, then this is just meaningless.
Right.
I mean,
but if they don't agree, if you've been to very many BOMA meetings, sometimes they don't agree, even if they plan on agreeing at the start.
I just think we take it up again. We take it up at another.
Well, in that case, if they don't get something done, then we're saying the city of Hendersonville may or may not respond to a emergency at Beach. Like, I would argue the flip side, which is why would you risk that when we don't have to? This agreement doesn't cost us anything.
I mean, why is Hendersonville risking denying emergency services to our schools?
I can't answer those questions, but I can say that from the school perspective, it benefits tremendously the Beach School campus to have fire coverage from the city of Hendersonville.
I don't know. I think a case could be made that there's already plenty of fire coverage for Beach. I mean, we're talking Gallatin, White House, Cottontown, Chappaqua Island, White House Volunteer, Nashville even. Nashville's going to come out if there's a major situation.
I'm personally not willing to risk not having a single fire truck there if it benefits our kids and staff. For something that is, it's not a battle that we're really a part of, it's something that needs to be worked out between fire departments. All our task is to make sure we got the maximum amount of fire coverage for our schools.
Marty.
Mr. King, Mr. Lacy?
Could we ask, Mayor Cleary, could you come up and we ask you a few questions?
Respect to the client, this is
Yeah.
item written by my y'all's attorney, went to our attorney, through some of our staff. It's not something I understand really well beyond.
But you are the mayor of Hendersonville. You're used to getting up in front of people. I would just like to ask you a question. Would you refuse to service us tomorrow if we had a fire at these schools?
My attorney is going to have the conversations with our insurance company, not me. He's probably certainly better equipped to answer your questions.
Mr. Lacy, without him being on the agenda, it's very improper to ask the
Yes, sir.
The audience to join in.
Like I said, I find this interesting. And I don't understand why our director would post on Facebook and kind of cause a controversy that we don't have fire services at 3 of our schools. May I ask Mr. President a question? On item number 4, does that have any type of financial obligation or anything? Is Hendersonville going to benefit financially for this off of item number 4 in any way?
No, there's no compensation being paid for these services by the school system.
Ms. Lacy, Ms. Andrews?
Yeah, I would like to just address what the reality of this looks like. Currently, within those 3 schools, we're talking at about approximately 3,000 students and hundreds of employees and staff. We're talking about their lives and their safety. There's an issue right now between Hendersonville Fire and Shackle Island Fire. I understand that. That's for them to work out. They may be meeting next week. What are you going to tell the parents if an incident happens tomorrow?
Well, there's plenty of fire coverage.
And what's the response rate? And what happens if that fire that happens goes outside the scope of what a volunteer fire department can handle? Are you willing to say, you know what, yep, because of the disagreement or because something that doesn't cost us a dime, we said no? I have children on that campus. I have friends' kids who are like my children on that campus. I have friends who work on that campus. We have had incidences in the school system where we've needed Hendersonville Fire to respond.
Can you give me a specific?
Sure, Merrill Hyde Magnet School. We had an incident when there was an in their science lab.
Yeah, but that's
Mr. King, Ms. Andrews has the floor.
So yes, we don't know. I am not willing to risk the safety of one person. Not one person. I do not understand. This costs us nothing. Now, I can have a completely different conversation personally when it comes to this disagreement between the city of Hendersonville and Shackle Island Fire because I'm a county resident who lives in Shackle Island. It's a whole different scenario there because then you're talking about my personal property and I don't have an MOU. We have the opportunity to put an extra layer of protection on our campuses with a municipal entity, fire department, that has more resources, more equipment in the event they are needed. Shackle Island does a great job. Like I said, they responded. There are things that are within their scopes that they can respond to. But you talk about any other person coming, Hendersonville's the closest. And when they open the fire hall over on Mustang Way, they'll be even closer. The response times become even quicker. Which, by the way, I can't wait for that to open. We'd love to get that open tomorrow. Just saying that. When it's something that doesn't cost the board anything except for additional protection, every single time I'll vote in favor of it.
Thank you, Ms. Andrews. Ms. Hawkins?
I just want to make sure I understand the difference between approving this and not approving this MOU. If we approve the MOU, then we have the assurance that we have a fire department coming in the event of an emergency. If we do not, then we assume that they will come, but not have absolute assurance. Is that the difference?
Yes.
So either assurance or assumption. If it's my child, I want assurance.
Thank you, Ms. Hawkins. Mr. King?
Yeah, so in an automatic aid situation, Hendersonville's not going to send all their resources out. And so, I mean, they're not going to send 7 fire trucks to Beach in an automatic aid situation. That's what this is about. This is about automatic aid, mutual aid agreements. And so I'm not understanding the question. Really, my question has not been answered as to what has changed and why are we suddenly having to sign this agreement. We've had this relationship for 20 years with Hendersonville, and suddenly they're saying they're not going to come and serve us. And you guys aren't upset about that for some reason. You're upset at Shackle Island because they wouldn't sign that agreement. You threw them under the bus, and so did a board member throw them under the bus. And they had 2 days to look at it. You know, and so this just sounds like an attack against that fire department. I mean, it's, you know, it's really, I think Hendersonville would come out, you know, because what's going to happen? They're going to, if there's a major fire, they're not going to come out. I mean, I can't believe they wouldn't come out. So
I would strongly disagree with your characterization of my actions, and I would add that again, I have no idea why Hendersonville or Shackle Island didn't come to an agreement on this. That's not my concern. My primary concern is, do we have the most fire protection for our students and staff that we can? My Facebook post that you and Mr. Lacey referenced was in response to the number of concerned parents that we had that were saying, because they saw on social media that fire service was ending for the Beach community on November 30th. And I wanted to clarify, and then when someone from Shackle Island Fire Department questioned how it was worded, I fixed the wording twice to better reflect what it says. My intent was not to throw Shackle Island under the bus or anything. I appreciate the work the Shackle Island Volunteer Fire Department does. They're at everything that Beach does. But again, I don't want to let a piece of paper or an insurance dispute or whatever else might be on the table stand between our kids if there's an emergency and providing the maximum amount of protection.
So we're going to vote on this, but it's not going to take effect. You know, it's not going to take effect until when?
If the school board approves it, we'll sign it tonight and we'll send it to the city and it'll go to BOMA.
Right.
And I mean, I am hopeful, as you are, that agreement, because it's best for the county, for Shackle Island and Hendersonville to come to an agreement. I am hopeful that we don't need it, but I would like to have that coverage in case they don't. I've been around legislative politics long enough to know that a lot of times you can even walk into the meeting thinking everybody's on the same page. In the course of debate, they're not on the same page, and it gets deferred to January or February, and then we're sitting there, you know, without fire coverage.
I think Ms. Andrews was next.
Mr. President, I have a legal question, if I may. If we were to choose not to sign this MOU, there was an incident on the beach campus, and Hendersonville, to the extent that was something outside the scope of what Shackle Island Volunteer Fire could handle, and Hendersonville did not respond, and there were injuries. Would we as a board then become liable since we had the opportunity to enter into an MOU and we chose not to?
I'm sorry, but I can't provide a thorough legal
Is there a
opinion
possibility?
to that question, because we get into risks and responsibilities.
Do we open ourselves up to more legal risk by not signing an MOU with the current understanding of the relationship currently between Hendersonville and Shackle Island Fire?
There could be additional risk to that, but that must be reviewed in terms of the greater law, and so in terms of Governmental Tort Liability Act, discretionary functions, immunity. There's a lot that would go into that analysis that I would have to spend some time looking for.
I also want to clarify that I did not say that Hendersonville would send all of their resources. What I did say is that they would send resources if it got out of the scope of what Shackle Island could handle. So yes, I would assume that they would send a truck, but you're talking about massive structures that can quite quickly become large incidents. And at that point, I would hope that we would have the support of a municipality that has equipment that's adequate to address a large incident. And as I said before, I think Ms. Hawkins said it well. Are we going to go off an assurance or an assumption? I would prefer an assurance.
Thank you, Ms. Andrews. Mr. Gregory.
My wife and I, along with many other people, stood on the front campus of Sumner County High School, which is now Portland High School, many years ago, during the middle of the night when it burned to the ground. Wouldn't it have been nice to have more assistance? That's all I have to say.
Mr. Gregory, Ms. Hawkins?
I think.
Well, Mr. King then.
Mr. King.
I was just going to say that if there's a fire, you know, in fact, most fires, one department can't handle it by themselves, including Hendersonville. They call assistance from other stations, and it's usually not just one station that's doing it. They put out a call for assistance, and it would go to everybody, and everybody would show up, and so that's what would happen in that case. It would not just be the Hendersonville Fire Department, and that's the point. That's the point I want to make. So.
Mr. King, now Ms. Hawkins.
Thank you. I'm having trouble finding what is the problem with accepting this agreement, and I can't help but think that we're treading into political waters, and that's something as board members we have sworn an oath not to do. Our number one goal is the safety of our children and our students. This is a simple question. Do you want assurance or do you want assumption that there's going to be adequate response to an emergency? I think it is obvious what the answer is, and I don't understand why there is resistance to doing that.
Thank you, Ms. Hawkins. Mr. Lancaster.
Yeah, I mean, I think this whole thing is a little, I understand what some of what Mr. King's trying to say. My biggest issue with this whole thing is we got it at 2 o'clock today, and we're supposed to vote on it 4 hours later, and I don't know anything about MOUs with fire departments. That's just not something I expected to have to undertake as a school board member, but hey, that's where we're at. You know, I appreciate everything that, you know, both of these fire departments do and have done for our schools. You know, but from what it sounds like to me is Hendersonville Fire Department or without signing this agreement, I mean, number 8 says this agreement is only valid if executed by December 31st, 2023. So, I mean, we got it today at 2 o'clock. We have 4 hours to decide on yay or nay, and if not, then we don't meet again, or so it's no longer valid. I mean, this is just whether I voted for it or against it. It's just I don't like having somebody basically hold a gun to my head saying you do this or that's it. And that's what it very much seems like. So, you know, I've got kids at 2 of the 3 schools, and next year we'll have kids at all 3 of them. So, you know, yeah, I definitely want the most help possible, and I really don't give a flip about 2 fire departments fighting amongst each other. So if it, you know, but at the same time, I understand Mr. King's point in this is the school board getting involved in a spat between 2 people and then saying, okay, well, you got to sign this, you know, today, and it's just not very effective way of doing things, in my opinion. So,
Mr. Lancaster, Mr. Lacy.
Thank you, Chair. So who is actually the primary emergency response? Is it Lone Shackle Island, or will it be Hendersonville? Because it says the city will automatically dispatch to emergency calls for fire department services for Beach Elementary School.
Yeah, that does not determine, we don't have any say in who's primary. That's all determined by emergency services.
But shouldn't we know that?
We can't know that.
As the board? I mean, they don't have in a book, or when there's a fire call and they're like, oh, this is Lone Shackle Island, we need to call them first. As far as dispatch?
I'm just telling you, we have no authority over who determines primary.
I didn't say you did. I'm asking who would be the number one. If dispatch gets a call, who are they going to call? That's what I'm asking.
And I am telling you, that's way outside my purview. Like, I have no idea how they determine. I would guess whoever's closest to whoever's there would be primary.
Well, I mean, I think Mr. King said they responded within 2 minutes on Shackle Island. I would hope that they would be the primary. That's what I'm asking. That's something I believe that's important.
Yeah, I would agree with that completely, Mr. Lacy, but I'm just saying, like, I don't have the authority to say that. That's not my determination. My concern is that we have I agree with Mr. Lancaster. I would rather have the maximum amount of coverage and not get caught up in a dispute between fire departments. But at the end of the day, I want coverage from everybody.
I don't like the way this was presented to us, a couple hours before. I feel like we don't have all the facts. I'll be abstaining from this vote, and I'm sure it's going to pass anyways. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lacy. All right, motion's on the floor, second. No further discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Abstain.
Just had 1 abstention, no noes. I didn't hear any noes. All right, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is discussion interaction regarding reduction of retainage for Hendersonville High School science labs. Motion approved by Mr. Wise, second by Mr. Lancaster, or I got Mr. Lancaster. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Next item, discussion interaction regarding school year 2024-25 high school curriculum guide. Is there a motion?
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Mr. Gregory, second by Ms. Andrews. Discussion, Mr. Lancaster.
Yeah, we did have a question that I would like to know the answer to, or make sure it's been addressed. But the new state requirement for computer science, or computer science, if I get it wrong, just let me know. But you know, I'm talking about the computer. Some of our students with IEPs that are able to get a general or just a regular high school diploma by taking the 2 math requirements. Is this course going to be structured so that those students with IEPs will be able to, you know, handle the rigor of that course if it's required from the state and still get a
Their IEP will allow accommodations for any course. So my first answer is likely yes, but we're still learning about the process and how it's going to come about.
But it's still, I guess my question and this person's question was, is there just basically one level of this course that
There is a set of standards that come with the course, and TDOE is providing a training for teachers to receive that certification.
But that would be, we would meet the student's IEP regardless of the course. So we'd have to figure out, based on the IEP, we'd have to figure out modifications to the course to make it accessible.
And that requirement for this is only for ninth graders next year, right? Starting
Correct.
next year. So we
Starting
at least have time. That's, like I said, the only, we've got students that graduate with their high school diploma, with that caveat of those two. I just don't want anything that we, which at least we have the 4 years to.
Correct. It's incoming freshmen moving forward.
Okay. But as of next year, there is only going to be this one computer science class that meets that standards.
Correct.
Is that the only one the state has approved, or is that the only thing that we are offering?
That's the state.
That's the state.
All right, thanks. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Lancaster. Ms. Andrews?
Yeah, let me find it real quick. It is it's on page 8 of the guide. It's under mathematics. And it's where it says, the approved, can be, it's course substitutions. And it says identified in graduation substitute policy 3.103. Can we before that add, I think it's 10 SBE, or just the Tennessee school board policy? Because I looked and I was like, we don't have a policy 3.103.
Sure.
So if we can just do that to make it less confusing. But everything else looks great. I know every year, there's always lots of changes. I actually had to reach out to somebody that was on there because I did get a little confused with, in that math section, it's the Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and then one course beyond Algebra 1, and I was like, is that a typo? Should it not be beyond Algebra 2? Like, this doesn't make sense to me. She's like, we took it straight from the state. And so I was like, okay, well, that explains a lot. So I know a lot goes into it. I even pulled the one from the previous year, and last year's did say beyond Algebra 2. But like I said, it got updated. So I know there is a lot of information that is presented in this. I know even as a parent, sometimes I go to it to make sure, like when picking courses for my kids and stuff, that they align and they're getting what they need. So I would just want to say thank you to everyone that served on this committee and putting this together and making sure everything was up to date. I do look forward to hearing more about those computer science courses and just kind of what that means. And then just another question is, with the college and career readiness, TISA, and then ready to graduate pathways, is that new? Is that different? And
they're just different designations. So the TISA piece of that is what's new. So you have a state designation, a federal designation, and a TISA designation.
Is that strictly for funding, or is that the way, like, is this pathways? How?
The TISA one is for funding.
Okay.
The other two are not.
They're not. Okay, but they're not like special graduation recognitions and stuff like that. They're
No,
just,
ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Andrews. All right. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Next item, discussion and interaction regarding revision to policy 4.205, enrollment in advanced courses upon first reading. Motion approved by Ms. Andrews. Second by Ms. Hayes.
Can we?
Any discussion? Ms. Lancaster.
I guess I'm motion that we amend or waive second reading on this one since it's a state law. Right? Isn't this the one that's the state law policy that we're trying to? So, or just yeah. There you go.
Can we speak up a little bit? I can't hear a word that anybody's saying.
Mr. Lancaster wanted to amend it to waive second reading, but we're discussing, telling all Ms. Andrews has to do is amend.
That's fine.
If she wants to add it to her motion, then we don't have to amend it. Okay. So we got the amended, we're waiving the second reading on it. Any further discussion on it? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Next item, discussion and interaction regarding parent book challenge on Hey Kiddo by Jarrett. I'm not going to attempt his last name. Y'all know what it is. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the committee's recommendation.
Motion to approve committee's recommendation by Mr. Wise, second by Mr. Hayes. Any discussion? Mr. King?
Yeah, I just want to offer an amendment to this, on this. So, I read the book, bought the book, got my own copy right here. Really enjoyed the book. However, it does have some mature content. It does have some language in it. I understand the complaint that was submitted based on, it was a 6th grader that took the book home. And I do agree with the librarian that grade is too young for this book. I do appreciate the protective measures that she put in place to restrict access, to make it 8th grade only. So in the packet that we received, there are 3 bullet points. The last 3 under additional recommendation by the Library Material Review Committee. So this was a recommendation from this committee and from the librarian. And one was to restrict access to 8th grade only, and to place the book behind the circulation desk to prevent younger student access. And it says only the librarian can check them out to students, not student library assistants. The next bullet point is those books with sensitive topics will have a sticker in a prominent place as a visual, which will prompt the librarian to have one-on-one conversations with students about the content. And the third point is that the librarian will work with Atrium software technicians to create and send an email to parents when their child checks out an 8th grade only book. It's also my understanding that there's an alert in the system when you make it just for 8th grade, when you restrict it to 1 grade only. If a child is to check out a book and they're not in 8th grade, and the librarian actually sent me a video of what happens. It's actually a very, very annoying alarm that goes off. So I don't know how to really word this amendment. I want to amend this to put these same restrictions in place for this book across the district, across the county. This was recommended by the library, by this review committee, by a professional librarian. Restrict access to 8th grade only, place it behind the circulation desk, a sticker with sensitive, indicating sensitive topics. So I guess those are the 2 items I would like to add as an amendment to this.
Amend the motion to.
Hold on, Jeremy's.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So under your current policy, any recommendation that you approve here applies district-wide, so the amendment's not really necessary, because if you approve the recommendation of the committee in the bullet points you just said, that applies district-wide at that point, because that's how your current policy reads.
So I would not need to amend this. Okay. All right. Okay. That was my biggest concern on this. So you're telling me that for every library that has this book, it's going to be restricted to 8th grade. So these are additional recommendations. Is that? Because it's my understanding that we're recommending to not remove the book, to keep the book, right?
So my understanding, the way your current policy reads is that when the board votes to remove a book, that it applies, that the restrictions apply to every school at that grade level. So if you restricted it to 8th grade, then it becomes restricted for everything down. And so it would apply to all middle schools equally. And my interpretation of that would be those additional restrictions would apply. Now, if you guys want to go ahead and put that in as an amendment, that's your prerogative. But my understanding of the way your current policy reads, when you make a recommendation and when you approve that recommendation, it applies to every school in the district.
Well, this goes beyond just that. It says they recommended the books be placed behind the circulation desk. So that would apply as well?
Yes.
And it would have a sensitive topic sticker put on the book?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. King. Mr. Lacy?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Since we were blessed to hear the video from the author, I actually spoke with the parent that challenged this book last night. She was not able to make the meeting, but I actually have kind of her statement. I'm going to read a couple little paragraphs out of it. Basically, her 11-year-old child checked this book out somehow. He's a 6th grader. And basically, I guess some of the things that she didn't like that was wrong with this book, she said a teen gets pregnant and the grandmother calls her a SULT and whore, and she curses. It's got GD all through the book. I listened to it today. It's got Jesus Christ and GD in the same sentence. But it's curses and GD all through the book multiple times. Phrases such as the F word, a-hole, bullies call him a faggot, the S word, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, which is the worst of all, considering my faith and the faith of many in this school system. This is literally the tip of the iceberg in regards to this book. There are very graphic references to drug use with images of the mother heating up heroin in a spoon and shooting it up. I'm sorry, but no child, no matter what their age, should be exposed to this content, especially from a school library. If a student in this school system went up to any student, teacher, or staff member of any school in our county and said any of these words or spoke this way to anyone in this manner, they would immediately be disciplined, likely put into detention or possibly suspended. Yet students are free to check it out and read it. That is completely unacceptable. I understand the social value that this book may have for a child who may be experiencing this in their life. I know that this is why this book was written by the author in memoir form. However, it has no place in our children's schools' libraries. It serves no educational purpose whatsoever unless you are trying to increase your vulgar grammar. Our kids are in school to be educated, not socially engineered. I do not agree with everything the parent, and that's not all that the parent wrote, but I do believe it's got a whole lot of vulgarity in it. And I am offended that it's got Jesus Christ, and a few words later it's got GD. You know, I grew up in a family, like I said, my mom was a saint, but my father was far from a saint. I heard a lot of profanity. I witnessed a lot of stuff that I didn't want to see as a child growing up, wished I never would have. And it doesn't do anything for me to read a book about that. You know, as being on the school board members, I've heard people come up and they'll testify why they need a book and that it helped them mentally and spiritually and that it witnesses to them. And then I don't get it. I think the book is, I don't agree with the appropriateness of the book, and I found it funny that the author, when he was speaking, he said, if you say that this book is inappropriate, you're saying he's inappropriate. I don't think he's inappropriate. I think the way he wrote the book is inappropriate. If I wrote a book about my life, I would have wrote the clean version. And I think you would have got the same thing. Like I said, I agree mostly with the parent. I find the book is inappropriate. I do not agree with it. Do not think the librarian's a bad person. But me as a board member in District 11 values, I think the book is inappropriate and I will be a no vote. And if the language isn't fit for the classroom, it's not appropriate for the library. That's just my opinion. If somebody would come in and say these words to any of our teachers, or if they wanted to come in and speak this language just to us as board members, would that be appropriate? But for some reason, when there's an overall good story to the book, you can have any cuss word, you can have any sexually explicit material, you can have pedophilia in the book, and because there's a good story, it's all good. So I find this to be inappropriate, and I will be a no vote.
Thank you, Mr. Latham. Seeing no further discussion, All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
One abstention. I'll abstain.
Did you say there's one abstention?
Yes, I abstain. The motion carries. You get the count, Mr.
Yes, sir. Motion carries.
All right, motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is unfinished business, discussion and interaction regarding amendments to the general purpose budget. For a motion? Motion approved by Mr. Lancaster, second by Mr. Wise. Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Discussion, next item, discussion and interaction regarding amendments to the federal budget. Motion approved by Mr. Wise, second by Mr. Gregory. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is discussion of study session items. Mr. Johnson will tee you up on that.
Yes, sir. For next study session, we currently have scheduled the reappearance of the policy for reconsideration of materials that you guys pushed to the March study session. We'll also have the presentation of our compensation study.
All right.
And just to remind everybody, our next study session is January 9th. Next voting session is January 23rd.
All right. Thank you, Mr.
There's a correction on this policy. That's not the correct one the latest version that I sent you.
I'll change the link.
Okay, because there's one sentence in here that's in there that I've taken out.
Yeah. We'll change the link.
Okay, so don't use this one
Yes, ma'am.
to look at. Okay.
Yeah, we'll get together before we notice the study session.
Thank you.
Ms. Andrews.
Yeah, also just want to reiterate, or I guess question again, where will we be, I asked before, can't remember if we said January, February with the district-wide exam exemption policy. Obviously, we're in that season right now, so I've had some parents reach out to me and ask where we are with that, anticipating it for next year.
We will check with Dr. Causey and add it to the January study session if available.
No, we're not doing January study. There's too much on there already.
Right.
February.
We're looking at February.
All right, next item on the agenda is comments from board members. Ms. Hayes, would you like to start this evening?
Yes, thank you, Chairman Brewer. I had the opportunity to judge and participate, be a part of Ellis Middle School's pep rally. And it was hilarious when Adam Cripps had to kiss a pig. So that was the grand finale. That was awesome. But those students were so well behaved. And they're divided in what they have is 4 houses. So they were competing by colors against each other for the most spirit. But they had game competitions. The pep band was awesome. The behavior of the students was just exemplary. I mean, having a great time, but well behaved. And it was just a delight. It was hard to pick the winning house. But the White House won. The white group won that day. But that was a joy to be a part of that. And Merry Christmas to all of you. And I pray you all have a blessed holiday.
Thank you, Ms. Hayes. Mr. Lancaster.
First of all, I want to say thank you to Dr. Young for the calendar. As of today, he sent me the current. I've had so many people that love the student version. I asked him, I was like, hey, when you got a good thing, let's keep going with it, or in this case, go back with it. So he's taken the current 2024 student calendar and created a student calendar. So if you're wondering when we're out for Christmas and when we get back from Christmas and when you're out at the end of the year, is that out on the website now, Jeremy? I know he sent it to me today in the email. But
We'll be soon if it's not already.
yeah. I mean, you got 5 minutes, but.
Yeah, this is the first I've heard of an alternate, of that version of it. We'll get that.
Okay. Now, it's the same calendar, it's just a better format, or a more user-friendly format, let's put it that way. Other than that, it is holiday season. I always want to remind people to, if you get new stuff, new clothes, new whatever for Christmas, remember our Sumner County Resource Center next door. They can always use your donations, and you'd be supporting a great cause there, or financially, either one. You can make a donation. Third on the list is I need to apologize to my 13-year-old daughter Claire for missing her T.W. Hunter chorus concert tonight to be here for the board meeting. Yeah, I don't know, she might not really miss me, but anyway, I'm sad I missed that. And other than that, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody. Looking forward to it, so see you next year.
Ms. Lancaster, Ms. Andrews?
Yeah, I'm looking forward on Thursday to going and visiting Knox Doss. Their student leaders have a community day where they've invited community leaders in, and it's always a great time just to kind of see what those kids are doing. When you can get middle school students to speak in front of adults, it's a special time, so I'm looking forward to that. I just want to say thank you to all of our teachers. I know we're excited that we have made it to December, which means we're halfway there. I wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I hope that everyone has a restful time being off, and if you're able to be with your family.
Thank you, Ms. Andrews. Mr. King?
Yeah, so my son is in the same concert at T.W. Hunter, so I'm sorry to him that I had to miss, but I'm looking forward to seeing the video. There's a great chorus program at T.W. Hunter and band program. So, and I just want to say Merry Christmas to everybody. Thanks.
Ms. King, Ms. Hawkins?
Just wish everyone a warm and relaxing and safe holiday season, and see you next year.
Thank you, Ms. Hawkins. Mr. Vandal?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out real quick to the Schaefer Middle School cheer team. They placed third this weekend in the UCA Smoky Mountain Championship. So that's kind of exciting for those girls. Also, this Friday night, Bobby Luna is being recognized. The board previously approved having his name put on the floor. It's already there because we had to do that. We were doing the floor, but they're doing the formal recognition. He's closing in on 500 wins, which is a pretty big milestone for a basketball coach. And then Rob Hosier. He's been recognized by a couple different schools, but this is the 50th year of his involvement with Gallatin High School basketball. As a broadcaster, calling games, working scoreboards, he's done it all. So it's a pretty big accomplishment. He's given a lot to the Green Wave, so I just wanted to take a second to recognize him. And Merry Christmas. I hope our teachers get a little bit of relaxation here in a couple weeks. I know the next 2 weeks are tough with end of semester exams and kids ready for Christmas, but hopefully they make it through it and everybody comes back safe and ready for a start to a great next semester. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Mr. Wise?
Merry Christmas to all.
Thank you, Mr. Wise. Mr. Gregory?
Portland High School
Turn your light on.
last month,
You got it.
they went to the Nationals this past weekend in Dallas, Texas, and won many awards. Have a good holiday season.
Thank you, Mr. Gregory. Mr. Lacy?
Yeah, like I said, I'm thankful to be here. I'm thankful that I got the opportunity to be up here on this board. We have an election coming up, in March, and August? A board like this is, I can't believe we approved this book tonight to be for 8th graders. Just really disappointed, and a board like this is why I decided to run for school board. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lacy. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. We are adjourned.